Hey NailTubers, this is a fun, money-saving DIY for you. We're doing alcohol inks. So this suggestion came from Chrissy Love when she saw my recent BOUJEE nails on a budget. I did some long extendo nails using alcohol inks that I purchased, and some I created, like the ones you see down there on the left, and they aren't even the original bottle, but I'll talk more. So a few things came up when it comes to alcohol inks. For one, I didn't have brushes in the bottles for those first ones I made, and actually, they were originally in spray bottles. I don't know why, I think it was a thing to do at the time. Then I came across those skinny little glass bottles with the silver tops at Dollar Tree and transferred into those. But I still didn't have brushes. So I ended up getting polished bottles with the brushes, and you just saw the two that I've already transferred some of the ink to. And this makes me happy because I won't have to keep reusing the same brush and cleaning it. So let's talk about what you'll need to do this. The newer empty bottles that you see with the brushes, I got from Amazon. And they did come with transfer funnels, which makes it really convenient to use. And actually that's what I should have bought in the first place, but I think I wasn't thinking about it at the time, and I believe whoever I saw do this didn't use bottles with brushes. I'm not even sure if it was for nails. I think it probably was for crafts. And also when you shop, because unfortunately I don't have the link for these. I purchased these quite some time ago. My brother and I actually did that first set, and it's been over a year. And you know what? I was looking for the clip to it so I could include it and can't find it. We were so sloppy because this can get sloppy, but if you watch how I do this, you'll see how easy and simple it is and keep any mess to a minimum. But yeah, if you shop for these, you can also find them not only with the brushes inside, but some of them also have mixing balls. Now first, you definitely want to make sure you have something to clean up with, whether it's cotton balls or pieces of paper towel, because this can tend to get sloppy. However, just keep watching and I'll show you how I did this, because this time for me, it was definitely a lot less mess. Then your choice of alcohol. I chose 70% alcohol. You can also use 90%. Now in my mind, I'm thinking 70% alcohol will give you some time to work with it, because the 90 whatever, guys, I'm rounding the numbers up, but the 90% alcohols tend to dry faster. So that's the reason why I chose the 70% alcohol. And you're going to need some type of pliers. These ended up being some chintzy ones, and I switched up later. I don't know if you'll see it in the video or not. Then an X-Acto knife. And if you don't have one of those, you can use a small pair of cutting scissors. Little sharp ones. I would suggest for you not to use your stork scissors and get them all dirtied up with the alcohol ink. Now you probably won't need this, but these real pointy needle nose tweezers, I needed them because I still have some ink trap filters in some of the other bottles, and I need to pull them out. And then your selection of Sharpies. Yes, guys, these are done with Sharpies, and it's so easy. Now, my other thing when it came to alcohol inks is when you purchase them from the manufacturer, and there's nothing wrong with them, but for me, there's always the same selection of colors, right? There's always either the blue, the red, the yellow, maybe green, black. I wanted a larger selection of colors. Like, for example, I chose these Sharpies because they have the neon colors, guys. Oh, and I almost forgot, 2 chrome colors too. Now, what you also want to make sure to do is you want to make sure that you spread something out on your surface, because just in case there's a lot of splashing. When me and my brother first did this, we had ink everywhere, even on our clothes. Now don't let that scare you though, because this time you'll see it was much easier and it was so much less messy. So that's pretty much what you'll need, is to spread something out on your table. And real quick, I'm just showing you, this is what I showed in that BOUJEE Nails on a Budget video, the case of alcohol inks. And the reason why I needed the tweezers was for the jar like this one. See how I still have the ink trap filter in there, and I needed something to pull it out. Now all of those inks will be transferred into the bottles with the brushes, just like those first two. And if there's anything that I forgot to mention, for example, because I already have them on, don't forget to wear gloves. You'll see a few more things come up in the video as I go along. Now what you want to make sure to do before using your alcohol inks is to shake them well, because there are pigments in them, so you want to shake them and spread them evenly. And I'm just doing a quick swatch test so you can see one of the colors that I first created a while back. So remember I was first saying that I purchased this pack of Sharpies because I wanted it for the neon colors. So the first color that I chose was this neon green. What you're going to want to do is remove the cap off the marker, and you're going to save that cap. And I should have did this first, so let me do it real quick. The empty nail polish bottle, just take the brush out, and I'm going to use the pipette to partially fill it with alcohol. And the reason why I only do it partially is because the last time I used a bit much alcohol and it was a little too liquefied or watery. So I want these alcohol inks to have much stronger pigment than I created before. So I'm only going to fill the bottle partially, because the advantage of doing that is if you want to filter it down and make it lighter, you can always add alcohol. But if you do too much from the beginning, you won't be able to make any changes. If and unless you go back with more marker filters and just add those. But I just felt it was the easier way. So getting back to the marker, you're going to pull the ink tip out. And this may seem like I'm using a lot of force, but I'm actually not. It really doesn't take much to pull this tip out. Now, when I did see this, I've seen people save this, but I really don't feel that there's a whole lot of ink in those tips, so I don't bother saving it. The next thing you want to do is the housing of the ink trap. You're going to firmly keep your pliers placed around the capping of the ink trap and just pull and work it side to side like you're prying it off. You'll see it come loose from one side if you work it well enough, and then just start the other side. So you're going to back and forth pry it out of place. And that's how simple it is. So this is the ink trap, and that's where all the color is. Because of the size of the bottles that I have, I needed to cut it down. Now, one thing I did regretfully here, I cut it down too short. I was matching the height of the bottle, but really what I should have been doing is cutting it a little taller than the bottle, because what's going to happen is you're going to place that cap on top of the ink trap filter while it sits and it drains. For this, you will need, and I forgot to mention this, you will need some larger scissors to cut the trap short. So I'll let you see that. Yeah, I had a little bit of struggle cutting this. The other concern that came up for me, which didn't happen last time, because remember I said the very first time we did this, we used spray bottles. So the opening of the bottle was wide, and then as you see, the bottles over there on the left, those openings are wide enough. But these polished bottles, the mouth of the bottle is so narrow, I became concerned whether or not the trap would fit inside. So you see me cleaning off the scissors. Now right here, and I'm sorry that it's out of view. I didn't realize it the first time. This is where you're going to use your X-Acto knife, or if you don't have one, you're going to use those smaller, sharp scissors, and you're going to cut open. Because what that's going to do is it's going to help some of that coloring drain out better. So as you see, I was struggling to get the trap in there just as I thought because the opening of the bottle was small. So cutting it open also helps me squeeze it in closer so that I can fit it into the mouth of the bottle. Look at it's already draining into the alcohol. So now I at least know to cut it taller. See how the cap isn't sitting on there? So I got to pull some of the trap up to give the cap something to sit on. One of the reasons for using the caps is as identifiable markers. For instance, you might have two colors. Like you might have a light blue and then there may be a blue that's a couple of shades darker, but by the time the color drains into the bottle, it's hard to tell the difference. So the caps are used as markers so that you'll know what to label them. And then the next one, and I'll just let you watch while I explain something else. So in the first time that we did this, what we were doing was and this is why it got messy, so I was telling you this isn't going to be as messy. Once we got the ink trap out of the marker, we were cutting it open, but beyond that, we were also pulling out the filter fabric or material and then putting it inside the spray bottle or the jars, whatever we were using. And that's what made it messy. I mean, we had ink all over our clothes. We had ink all across the table. I think we splattered and spilled more ink than anything. So this time doing it, I realized let's just keep the ink inside of the body of the trap and just cut it open so it'll drain better, if that makes sense. I let the color drain overnight. Now you can do a little longer. It's up to you. If you feel that more color can come from the ink trap, there's no specific rules to follow on this. Once you feel you've got a good amount of color, that's a good time to just simply remove the ink trap. And let's not forget how excited I was about the two chrome colors, guys. But unfortunately, neither one of them did well. The gold chrome, it drained, but it drained clumpy. And even shaking it and mixing it didn't turn out well. The clumps never separated. And the silver, I do believe, was already dried out, possibly just from sitting in the packaging. So I'm a bit disappointed about that. However, I do have chrome colors in that Burano set that I have. So I still have something that I could be happy about. So here I'm just showing you the previous bottles that I had and why I needed the tweezers to pull the filter out. Notice this yellow, the filter drained really well, didn't it? It drained so well that filter is almost white in color. And there's the ink tip. So that turned out good. Here's me using the funnel to just simply pour it down into that narrow neck of the bottle. And I'm just so happy about having these alcohol inks, especially with these newer neon colors. I'm just a bit besides myself and I can't wait to use them. The last thing to mention, which I didn't show in this video, is as you're taking those ink traps out of the bottle, you're going to have to wear gloves again. And then as you're taking them out, squeeze them as you pull them out to drain out even more color from the filter, because there's still going to be some in there. You're not going to get all of the color out of the filter. So I hope this helped you guys, and I really do hope you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see this set where I use the alcohol inks and Chrissy made her suggestion, you can find that by clicking here. Remember to consider subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to click the Nailification bell so that you don't miss any more uploads. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Much love.